such insulting and ignorant terms. Poverty, rejection, horrible education, no housing, no homes, no ownership, crime at levels nobody has seen. Right now, he said, you can walk down the street and get shot. Those are his words. But when I hear them, I think to myself, how sad. Donald Trump misses so much. He doesn't see the success of black leaders in every field, the vibrancy of black-owned businesses, the strength of the black church. He doesn't see the excellence of historically black colleges and universities or the pride of black parents watching their children thrive. He apparently didn't see Police Chief Brown of Dallas on television after the murders of 5 of his officers, conducting himself with such dignity. He certainly doesn't have any solutions to take on the reality of systemic racism and create more equity and opportunity in communities of color and for every American. It really does take a lot of nerve to ask people he's ignored and mistreated for decades, what do you have to lose? Because the answer is everything. Now, Trump's lack of knowledge or experience or solutions would be bad enough. But what he's doing here is more sinister. Trump is reinforcing harmful stereotypes and offering a dog whistle to his most hateful supporters. It's a disturbing preview of what kind of president he'd be. And that's what I want to make clear today. A man with a long history of racial discrimination, who traffics in dark conspiracy theories drawn from the pages of supermarket tabloids and the far dark reaches of the internet, should never run our government or command our military. Ask yourself, if he doesn't respect all Americans, how can he serve all Americans? Now, I know that some people still want to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. They hope that he will eventually reinvent himself, that there's a kinder, gentler, more responsible Donald Trump waiting in the wings somewhere. Because after all, it is hard to believe anyone, let alone a nominee for president, could really believe all the things he says. But here's the hard truth. There is no other Donald Trump. This is it. And Maya Angelou, a great American whom I admired very much, she once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Well, throughout his career and this campaign, Donald Trump has shown us exactly who he is, and I think we should believe him. When he was getting his start in business, he was sued by the Justice Department for refusing to rent apartments to Black and Latino tenants. Their applications would be marked with a C for colored, and then rejected. 3 years later, the Justice Department took Trump back to court because he hadn't changed. And the pattern continued through the decades. State regulators fined one of Trump's casinos for repeatedly removing black dealers from the floor. No wonder the turnover rate for his minority employees was way above average. And let's not forget that Trump first gained political prominence leading the charge for the so-called birthers. He promoted the racist lie that President Obama is not really an American citizen, part of a sustained effort to delegitimize America's first black president. And in 2015, Trump launched his own campaign for president with another racist lie. He described Mexican immigrants as rapists and criminals, and he accused the Mexican government of actively sending them across the border. None of that is true. And oh, by the way, Mexico's not paying for his wall either. If he ever tries to get it built, the American taxpayer will pay for it. We'll be stuck with the bill. But there has been a steady stream of bigotry coming from him. I think we all remember when Trump said a distinguished federal judge born in Indiana could not be trusted to do his job because, quote, he's a Mexican. Think about that. The man who today is the standard bearer of the Republican Party said a federal judge who, by the way, had a distinguished record as a U.S. attorney, had to go in hiding because Mexican drug gangs were after him, who has Mexican heritage, but just like me, was born in this country, is somehow incapable solely because of his heritage. Even the Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives, Paul Ryan, described that, and I quote, as the textbook definition of a racist comment. And to this day, Trump has never apologized to Judge Curiel. But for Trump, that is just par for the course. This is someone who retweets white supremacists online, like the user who goes by the name White Genocide TM. Trump took this fringe bigot with a few dozen followers and spread his message to 11 million people. His campaign famously posted an anti-Semitic image, a Star of David, imposed over a sea of dollar bills that first appeared on white supremacist websites. The Trump campaign has also selected a prominent white nationalist leader as a delegate in California, and they only dropped him under pressure. When asked in a nationally televised interview whether he would disavow the support of David Duke, a former grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, Trump wouldn't do it. And only later, again, under mounting pressure, did he backtrack. And when Trump was asked about anti-Semitic slurs and death threats coming from his supporters, he refused to condemn them. Through it all, he has continued pushing discredited conspiracy theories with racist undertones. You remember he said that thousands of American Muslims in New Jersey cheered the 9/11 attacks. They didn't. He suggested that Senator Ted Cruz's father was involved in the Kennedy assassination. Now, perhaps in Trump's mind, because Mr. Cruz was a Cuban immigrant, he must have had something to do with it. And there is absolutely, of course, no evidence of that. Just recently, Trump claimed that President Obama founded ISIS. And he has repeated that over and over again. His latest paranoid fever dream is about my health. And all I can say is, Donald, dream on. But my friends, this is what happens when you treat the National Enquirer like gospel. They said in October I'd be dead in 6 months. It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones, who claims that 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombings were inside jobs. He even said And this really just is so disgusting. He even said the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre were child actors, and no one was actually killed there. I don't know what happens in somebody's mind or how dark their heart must be to say things like that. But Trump doesn't challenge these lies. He actually went on Jones's show and said, "Your reputation is amazing. I will not let you down." This from the man who wants to be president of the United States. You know, I've stood by President Obama's side as he made the toughest decisions a commander-in-chief has to make. In times of crisis, our country depends on steady leadership, clear thinking, calm judgment, because one wrong move can mean the difference between life and death. I know we have veterans here, and I know we have families, mothers and spouses and children of people currently serving. The last thing we need in the Situation Room is a loose cannon who can't tell the difference, or doesn't care to, between fact and fiction, and who buys so easily into racially tinged rumors.